Yes lads, what are we saying? I just got out of a cold shower, full blast. If you ain't done that, then do that, because it will basically shock you into alignment, because it'll be super cold, and then you'll learn all you need to learn if you just stay in there while all the voices in your head are screaming at you, telling to get out. But yeah, I felt like I should tell you that to give context of why I'm shirtless. Not that that matters, but watch out for that, yeah, because I do this with my own videos, as I can see past videos of myself and I'll criticize myself, and so a lot of the criticisms are valid. Like I'm kind of, and I have been insecure about my channel and a lot of my older videos, because like the way that I look, or like the way that I present myself, like I'm just coming on here like this now with no shirt, and or like I can see old videos, I think, oh, I need to get a haircut, man, like I look like shit, and then my ego is like getting hurt because but then like when I made the video and I looked the way that I did, potentially I would have had like my ego dissolved, because the ego is like illusory. So like basically I can make a video in radical, like enlightened consciousness, so to speak, where like I see past the ego, and so I can make a video while not being in my ego, basically, or being like on a peak psychedelic state where there's no ego, or like where I don't care what anyone thinks. But then like my ego can build, and then I look back at the video of when I didn't have an ego, and then I can like criticize myself, but I didn't have an ego when I made the video. So that's kind of why awakening can be such a tricky predicament, that will just like kill your ego. I've realized a lot about ego recently, and I'm saying all this because I was just saying, be careful of like when you open a video or you see someone, when you're judging them with separateness, like he looks like trash, she looks shit, like especially if it's coming from hate and fear, like over time you get better at distinguishing what is occurring, like with labels, in terms of check out like Leo Gura or Actualize.org. He has multiple videos on the nature of fear, understanding survival, and he goes through, for example, a list of micro fears, he calls them, where like, are you aware that you constantly have micro fears, so to speak? And the examples that he gave is you want to, like, maybe you're thinking, oh, I want to go to the shop, but you're thinking like you have a list of stuff, and then you think, oh no, what if they don't have this product on my shopping list? That's a micro fear. Or oh, where are my car keys? What if I can't find my car keys? Like, it's very subtle, but it is still fear, like if you just put a label on emotions. So the reason I say that is because you've got to notice when fear is occurring in general, and get very good at distinguishing that. So when you're looking at other people, judging them, and hate, like, regardless of the context. Yeah, another video by Leo, which I believe, I think I have listened to it. It's called Content versus Structure. So the structure would be fear, regardless of the content, regardless of why I think she looks like a tramp, or why I think that I, like, you know, this kind of, a lot of it stems from cringe as well. But yeah, like regardless of like what the actual details are of whether you fear you might have lost your keys, or the shop won't have the item you want, or just you fear little things of that nature, it's all still fear, basically. And recognize that you're doing that to yourself in a way, and like, especially when you get to, because you gotta, like, you might have loads of assumptions when you're watching this video, like, and one of the biggest assumptions is that other exists, and that you're here, and that is not you. Everything else is not you, therefore it's you versus the world, kind of. So like, you might think that you know what's going on, and you might think that your criticisms are valid, which they might be on some levels, but like, what if God is actually an infinite mind that's streaming everything for eternity, and there's no separation, and you are everything? doesn't that kind of recontextualize like everything that you thought you knew before you go into that state of consciousness, if you can? And that is self-realization, or no self, or God realization, kind of. It's like where you realize that the whole world is your body, because you are dreaming the whole thing within one mind, which makes everything you, in a way. Reality is groundless, and that's kind of why I lost my ground when I found psychedelics, because they open the doors to perception, and you realize that you're just actually infinity in an abyss forever. Why do I say all this? So there was an original topic to this video before I went down this rant, and it is relevant. It was just a kind of intuitive, spontaneous way of going about it. But everything that I've just said here, basically, the reason that I made that point about fear, criticizing others, or also in yourself. So I have this a lot, or I do now a lot more than I did, or maybe I'm just overcoming it now with self-realization and awakening and heightening my awareness and consciousness and being connected with the breath more, is that, again, it's kind of this, it all stems from ego. And ego is like, sometimes you can be humble and at one with the flow of reality, or sometimes you can just get this righteousness with your ego. And so I've seen it in some of my videos recently where like, I can pick up the camera just getting blasted off 5 grams of mushrooms, therefore I'm like, you know, the ego's not really active. I can be talking like humbly, is that a word? I'm just giving a humble trip report in the midst of the trip. Picked up my phone and I'm like, guys, I've literally just been shown loads of visions for ages, man. It's crazy. Like, let me tell you what happened. And then as I pick up the pace, I see myself and I start thinking that I'm sounding cool. Wake up, people, wake up. And I'm thinking, and then my ego like gets leverage by seeing that. And before I know it, the second half of the video, I am egoic and arrogant. But the first half I wasn't, because my ego wasn't intact, but it's like I subconsciously saw myself speaking and playing ego games, and then I believed that, and before I knew it, I was a weapon. But at the start of the video, I was humble, and I was like, submit to kind of the flow. Maybe I didn't know that's what I was doing, but that's kind of inherent if you come off like a full-blown mushroom trip. But yeah, basically it's like, yeah, it's basically I saw my ego spawn in real time, because I was watching a trip report about 6 months out. It was if you want to find it, it's a trip report about 7 grams of mushrooms. I was led on my sofa. Yeah, I picked up the camera halfway through of the trip after getting pummeled with insights, and I actually cried on that. It's the only video that I cry in on my whole channel. Actually, I think maybe there's one voice note from back in the day, but yeah, it's I didn't mean to, but I was going through. It's a really good, yeah, the way that it happened is a really good representation of when I started to cry, of how psychedelics and mushroom therapy, etc. It was like I was actually narrating the mushroom trip, like, because I started to record halfway through the trip, I just basically started to narrate it, and it was still going, and then I hit an insight while I was speaking, and you can see the whole thing because I kind of documented it. But yeah, I mean, I only started crying like because I just felt the emotional connection to my family, etc. And you can hear all this kind of unfold as I'm going through the logic of it, and then yeah, it just kind of tears me apart. And that's what mushrooms do, and that's why they can be so healing, because you can process old traumas and have insights about your life and the nature of reality, etc. And they are the cutting edge of all knowledge, epistemology and metaphysics, that's for sure, and science, if you can even call it that. Right, so what am I saying with this whole video, right? What I was trying to say, sorry, when I was talking about the separation is, so the thing that I said that I have it a lot now, or I had it a lot more back then, or I'm just getting over it now, is that like basically people pleasing is, I would meet new people, often people of similar nature to me, like spiritual kind of people. Finally, I found a few local friends, kind of, and basically what it is a it's not just people pleasing for them, it's actually an egoic drive where, like, basically, here's how it happens in my experience is, again, coming from this illusion of separateness, or whether you think it's an illusion or valid or not, regardless, what happened to me recently quite a bit is, like, basically, I would meet somebody, and subconsciously, I would be fearing, whether I knew it or not, or I was aware of it or not, it was just in the back of my mind, that basically I fear that I'm trying to make a good impression on people, and I fear or almost anticipate that they are going to perceive red flags in me that will make them have a bad first impression of me and then kill our relationship. And an interesting kind of side note is that you basically manifest through worrying. I manifested a physical illness, kind of like I had to have a piss basically every like 15 minutes when I was like 15 years old or something, but I created it through worrying. Like, I literally manifested a physical disorder that was, it held me captive. I literally could barely go to work, I could barely get in a car, it was killing me. I was a lot unhealthier, just a skinny young lad in England with all sorts of bad habits, and my parents don't know fuck all about health, and they sent me to a fake education system where I'm getting injected and stuff. And again, not to be a victim, because I'm aware that I'm dreaming the whole thing, so there is no others, therefore I can't be a victim to the government or my parents or trauma, because I created the whole thing, because yin and yang is love, and the fucking plot twist coming your way, and you are God, and you are infinity, and you literally chose this whole thing because I'm directly conscious of that, and I haven't tried to believe it. I took a long time to come to these conclusions, but you are literally God. You are the mind that created everything. You are the singularity. You are infinity. You are the yin and yang. You are divided non-duality. But why am I telling you that this video does have a bigger plot that I haven't really unveiled properly yet, but basically is yeah, I get, so that kind of fear, yeah, when I was talking about, yeah, basically, like, about that physical disorder, kind of, so yeah, I always needed a piss, and I kept going to the doctors, actually, and they prescribed me some fake medication that had some horrible sounding side effects, which instilled me with more fear. So I was hearing about all the food is poison around me. I realised most of the food in this culture is poison and polluted. Again, coming from a separation paradigm, if you're in a unity paradigm, then you are everything, so how could you die? Because you are not this body, you are infinite timeless awareness, so you can't even die anyway. But yeah, and then they prescribed me this pill with these horrible side effects, and I took like 2 of them, and I was terrified to take them, and so that wasn't good. Drinking tap water and shit, because no one in my house knows fuck all about health. And then I said to my uncle about what was happening to me, and he was like, I'll tell you what that is. That's anxiety. And I felt like offended. And again, being offended is directly correlated with your level of consciousness. And my uncle's like an alcoholic, his health is fucked. I was like, oh, are you sure about that? He said that it was anxiety. I was like, I'm not even anxious. Like, I didn't think I wasn't going through like mental health, like, I mean, to be fair, I was, but often I don't make the correlation. Like, I think I'm okay in the moment, but then, like, when I look around, my life is like fucked, or it has been, or like I go in and out of depression, but like when I'm feeling good, I'm feeling alright. I don't know if so he says that's anxiety causing that, but I didn't even feel like particularly anxious or nothing. But I guess you know, you just think it's normal because the rest of the culture's like that. And yeah, without contrast, how can you know? If you've always been down bad and you've never felt up good, then how could you know? Because everything needs contrast. So you think it's normal, but humanity's still in the dark ages, because we haven't had the contrast of the golden age, which is coming, which is the new earth, which is what me and my boys are doing full blast. And that is the ultimate plot, is get ready, motherfuckers, because the mass awakening is heading towards us now. It's already here. Dream fulfilled. And then basically one day I must have just matured with time, and I basically kind of realized that it was in my mind, this physical illness. And that's profound. Makes it sound like I'm just schizophrenic, because it was horrible. Like I kept burdening my dad to go to the doctors. I kept going to the doctors. At the time I didn't know the doctors were fake. I'm 20 years old now, so this was, to be fair, this was actually, no, this was like when I was like 17 actually. 17 years old. I'd had done quite a lot of mushrooms before that. I'd done a few other drugs, some of worse substance. I wasn't aware of health at the time. I would have been drinking from the tap. I was smoking a bit of tobacco from Babylon. I was eating all the fake food. I still am a bit, but no, not really. I don't drink from the tap. I ain't had no baccy for ages. I'm much healthier now. Like I said, I just got out of the cold shower after doing breath work, which is obviously all part of it. Side note, how you get in you don't want to get in the ice bath because it's uncomfortable, but when you get out you feel so rejuvenated and happy that you've done it. What if that is what your incarnation is? What if you fucking went into this knowing how fucked it was going to be, and then when you get out, finally, you'll be like, oh, thank fuck I did that. That was horrible, but I'm so much stronger now, and happy I did do that. Anyway, let's wrap up this video. I wasn't planning to make such a long video here. But yeah, I basically dropped the physical illness of needing to urinate all the time, because I somehow grasped that it was mental. And I think it was like, I don't know, part of it was like I was sensitive. I think I was a lot more sensitive to energy because of my psychedelic experiences, and I had absolutely radical awakenings and terror trips on mushrooms because I abused them when I was young and I didn't really know what they were, and then God blasted me with infinity and I wasn't ready for it, and that's why my ego got ruptured, and that's why I spiraled off for like 2 years. If you check out my original content of my first awakenings, etc., is I was having radical awakenings on mushrooms, but because this culture is so fucking brainwashed, which is a big point, is like people wouldn't lose the plot the way that they do if there was infrastructure for this, but because we make the medicine illegal, when people experience God on mushrooms, the rest of the culture thinks you're crazy, so they demonize you, and then that makes you retaliate with ideology because you've been gaslit by who's meant to be your family for years. To be gaslit like that, but then slowly watch the undeniable truth. As everyone disintegrates under the light of fate, they'll slowly realise that I was actually talking facts the whole time. Not that that matters, because to care about that would be coming from ego, which is separation, which, yeah, again, I'm trying not to catch on to myself thinking I'm cool, which I haven't done the whole time, by the way. If you think I'm talking egotistical today, I drop that immediately right now. I don't care. I submit to God, the higher power. I don't know. Glory to the one who do it for me. But yeah, I'm not playing ego games, so that's a projection of your mind, and a lot of this is projection. So the whole thing that I'm talking here, I didn't mean to go down the rabbit hole of that illness, but that's what I was saying, is how worrying manifests what you don't want. Worrying is manifesting everything you didn't want to happen. Don't stress, the truth about reality is written into every single atom. And that's what I done with this spiritual lady, this friend of mine, Mama Cacao, who done like a crystal ceremony thing on me. We've had a few cacao ceremonies together. And I had my first yoga class with her, very spiritual lady. You can find her, it's Deborah Wild Curtis on Facebook. This is the person that so I met her basically, and I basically worried that I wasn't good enough to the point where I basically became that because I was so concerned with it. And she was trying to tell me that it's all just a story in the mind and just to drop the story, and she was on some Ram Dass wavelength, and at the time I was in a low vibration, or so I thought. And I was going through a lot of shit, a lot of spiritual growth. I was having some of my deepest insights about the nature of timeless shamanism in the midst of infinity forever, on LSD a few days before we originally met. But yeah, it wasn't like, it's just that basically what happened is like, our encounter initially was good, but then like, and then I started ruminating, like when I got home over the next few days, like, oh man, like, oh, I'm a dickhead like this, like, I got these bad habits, like, oh, look at my old YouTube videos, man, cringe. Or like, even though I know that it's all love ultimately, like, basically, I basically ended up apologizing in a kind of abstract way, if I recall, of like, basically, I almost said in a blanket term, like, I always feel like apologizing for the way that I am. It's what I've got used to. It's what I've got used to doing it. Often I think it's because my family used to, I don't know, recently I've started to contemplate the nature of anger a lot more. Like, what the fuck is anger? Because like, the person who is angry is really kind of punishing themselves in a way. And I'm starting to think that anger kind of stems from a fundamental projection, because like, because basically I got really angry not long ago, but I didn't have anyone to blame. And as soon as I found someone to blame, I started thinking, you're a prick. When I fucking see you, you're gonna get it. And when I could direct that pain to someone else and blame them for it and fucking throw mud at them, thinking, you're a fucking prick making me fucking go through this shit. Like, I kept getting woken up basically when I was trying to sleep because someone I'm not gonna go into the details. But as soon as I had someone to blame and like basically aim the pain at, it took it off of me. And that relates to Leo Gura's video, the sneaky psychology of conspiracies. I don't really like that video because Leo Gura is brainwashed, and I'm gonna make a video about that soon. I love Leo Gura. He knows infinity. In his video Relative versus Absolute Truth, I think he goes over this as well. He knows infinity, he knows God, he knows love, but he don't know fuck all about the reptilians that stole the planet and are trying to kill everyone with poisonous vaccines. Because he took them, and he went through the education system, and he's been molded by the mind molders. The English language was fabricated by cannibals to better make the human animal understand the rules. The alphabet got you under a spell that is magical. You've been possessed ever since your first day of grammar school. Easily programmable by your controllers. Education developed by devils, the mind molders. It don't take long to get you under the spell. But anyway, my phone is running out of charge, so quickly to wrap it up, I'm sorry. Basically, yeah, I ended up worrying and apologizing for myself not being as good as I thought I could be, which basically became the only thing worth apologizing for. So I manifested, I worried that there was no red flag, really. I worried that I had a red flag to be perceived by this lovely lady who I'm trying to impress and create a good impression for, as I'm out for myself, or I was when I was in my ego. And I tried to create this good impression by trying to be mindful of if I have any red flags, but then that trying to be mindful if I have any red flags became the only red flag and off behavior. So I was in my own way, and this links into what Alan Watts speaks about of when you don't see your eye when your eye is good. You shouldn't see your glasses when your glasses are clear, but if your glasses have got smudges on them, or if your eye has a gash in it, God forbid, then obviously you'll see that. So you don't notice the self. When you're flowing with the Tao, you're with it, but you can get in your own way by worrying that you're a problem, and then that actually manifests into the only problem worth worrying about. So it's an infinite paradox, an infinite strange loop. And the reason I'm fucking talking about all this, originally, before I went down this big run, I was gonna just fucking, there wasn't really a plan. This is an unscripted video, as I'm sure you have noticed now. But originally, I just got out of the cold shower and I was gonna come on here saying, embrace your powers and do what you gotta do don't get trapped in the loop-de-loop. Experiment and follow the clues. Basically, stop being a fucking pussy. I'm projecting right now, and I'm talking to myself when I'm talking to you, as is most of my videos, just a projection of my mind that is an open book, which is my social media, which is, you are fucking worth a lot more than you've been acting like you are. You are a lot bigger than your addictions. You are a lot bigger than these habits that you get stuck in. You're a lot bigger than this routine. You're a lot bigger than the pain that you're feeling. You're a lot bigger than the habits that you've got used to in general. You're a lot bigger than these thought patterns. You're a lot fucking bigger than this ego. You are everything. You are bigger beyond all unconsciousness. You can wake the unconscious mind into the conscious mind. You can become so meditatively conscious that you are the creator. You're either unconsciously creating or consciously creating. So wake the fuck up and embrace your powers. That is the main message, really, is embrace your powers. And the reason why I was speaking about this fear stuff in general, fear of trying to impress others, fear in general life, is fuck fear. Unplug fear. I'm talking that on a deep level, where like I've gone in and out of different states over time, where I take a step back, I reflect on what I thought was the case, and I try to criticize myself, or which I would criticize me. Let me know in the comments what you think, because I want the constructive criticism. Constructive criticism, not angry criticism, projecting your pain. What the fuck is what is anger? I don't understand the root of that. Not that it's totally invalid, but it's unconscious. Anger is pretty unconscious, I think, and I've grown up around a lot of it. Like when I won't go into the details, to be fair, but like me and my father had a not good, because I didn't do my homework at this indoctrination school system that's just full of shit. That, like, I went to school and then before I know it, I'm getting injected with fake poison medicine, and I didn't do my homework in this place that's trying to indoctrinate my mind and make me a slave. That I didn't really know that at the time because I was just a kid. I didn't do my homework, and then maybe I don't know if I was gobby to my dad about it, but regardless, like, why the fuck am I in this fucking grid of poison, eating sugar, getting injected by these fucking fat teachers that just project their failed marriage onto the children by projecting their pain by being angry and that. So in the midst of this illusion of separation, yeah, like, long story short, like I had like quite a severe falling out with my father, to be fair. I won't go into the details, but it's like, because I didn't do my homework in the Babylon system. Why the fuck am I speaking about that? I don't know, I'm just venting, I guess. Maybe I'm just hurt. But yeah, like, stop fucking around with fear. Like, sometimes I'm on Instagram Live with someone, or I can be on a call, and it can lock up in this weird awkwardness. Awkwardness is some form of like social fear and anxiety and stuff, but like a lot of spiritual people aren't really that spiritual. They're in a very relative plane, and conspiracies are ultimately in this illusion of separateness. Not that they're not valid, but it's just unplug fear, bruv. You're literally timeless. Personal development is important, of course. Like, fear is valid, but it's healthy fear, healthy ego. Don't be a slave to ego. Don't be a slave to fear. Use fear in a mindful way, and the only thing to really fear ultimately is fear itself. And I know that. But yeah, basically, you're infinitely more powerful than you've ever been led to believe. You are the placebo. Unplug fear. People are mirrors. Like, when you criticize others and you're being fearful of, like, in this fear kind of criticism projection of others, use them as a mirror of the absolute of bad habits that you may have. So when you see a complete junkie, recognize the fraction of a junkie within you. When you see a fucking sporadic schizophrenic, recognize your loose ends. Everyone's your guru, the world is your guru, as above so below. Everything is unfolding in seasons. The signs are all around you. That is the most fun thing about awakening, is you realize it was all there from the beginning. Like the yin and yang symbol you've grown up around just because it's fucking everywhere. not that I found this. I used to be an atheist, scientist, rationalist. I used to deconstruct my mates' religious beliefs and dogma, which I still would do to an extent, but it's like, I woke up myself. No one told me fuck all. Or I stumbled upon a rap artist myself. No one tried to influence me. I just found him and he started talking facts. See my video, Mr. Traumatic Saved My Life. I heard this rapper start talking about how government is full of shit and there's some magic plants that will just heal your life. I took the magic plants. They made me remember that I'm God, and I woke up myself. I wasn't born into a religion. I was born, well, I was. The religion is materialism. Materialism is a religion. The idea that that the brain creates consciousness and everything is atoms. That is religion. It's not religion. That's a good term for it. But really, it's blind belief, dogma, and ideology. Materialism is ideology. You may think that you're just, oh, well, it's physical. Reality's physical, but there's so many deeper subconscious layers to it, where there's so many assumptions in your day-to-day life, where you believe that you are just bacteria on a rock in space, when you're not. You are infinity. Wake the fuck up. You are an infinite mind of all creation. You is God, fool. I can't say it any cleaner. Thought is creative and you is the creator. Is simultaneously the destroyer and maintainer of reality, of beliefs that you have made up. It's a no-brainer. I am God. You is God, fool. Ye are gods. He is God, fool. I can't say it any cleaner. Thought is creative and you is the creator. Is simultaneously the destroyer and maintainer of reality, of beliefs.
We are gods.
We are gods. I am God. Why you looking at me hard? This is the Lord. That is the Lord. Everything is the Lord. What you separate for? The all is all. The self is all. It's all that's all. Nothing else at all. We are gods. We are gods. I am God. Why you looking at me hard?
You is God, fool. I can't say it any plainer. Thought is creative and you is the creator. You're simultaneously the destroyer and maintainer of reality, and beliefs that you have made up. It's a no-brainer. I am one and the same with the motherfucker God of all creation. Self-saviors, working out our own salvation. No matter where you go, there you are. It's no escaping. It's ways omnipresence. That means all places. Even inside why deny days on the space between thoughts, direct concentration to perceive the self through perfect contemplation. It's wake up time. Your God self is waiting for you to strengthen and break out the cages. We ain't just prophets, priests and sages. We are actually the God of all ages.
We are gods. We are gods. I am God. Why you looking at me hard? This is the Lord. That is the Lord. Everything is the Lord. What you separate for? The all is all.